Once the decision is made to expand into the US market, what are the things that need to be done to ensure that that expansion is as successful as possible? One of the first things that needs to be done is you need to build a plan to land in the US and then to expand and scale in the US. And I think there are stages to that plan, but I think it's really important that you have a cogent, thoughtful plan that is aligned with your board and with your executive team so that everyone understands what investments are being made, what success looks like, what the milestones are in the first 90 days, 180 days, and what good looks like so that you define what you want to achieve. And it may be that it's in the first 6 months, you want to get your first 5 customers. And the second 6 months, you want to get to 15 customers. Those are the kinds of things that need to be kind of represented in a granular fashion so that everyone understands what the goals and objectives are. And that needs to be done before you even set foot in the US market. One of the other things that I think founders often minimize or maybe underplay is the need to, everyone recognizes you need to have salespeople in the US market in order to get customers. But I think sometimes founders wait too long to think about customer success. And when you're entering a new market, particularly a market as big as the United States, it's really important that your first few customers have an incredible experience with the product and the company. And particularly US customers will sometimes be fearful of engaging with a company based in Asia because they're worried that the support's not going to be great. And so to the extent you can invest in customer success in parallel with your commercial capacity, I think that's a really important element. I've seen this done really well. Saltline is one of the companies that I helped come to the US, and they invested actually much more aggressively in customer success early on, even than they did in sales. And that's paying off in spades now because they have customers that are incredibly happy with the product. So I think that's something that needs to be thought about. Again, defining what success looks like. You need reference customers early on. So I think having that customer success and having sales really engage with those relationships early on is important. And to the extent you can do it early on, I think you need to try to get as much video content and testimonial content on your website from US customers, stating that they're happy with the support, they're happy with the technology, they enjoy working with the company, because that will help you sell the next 10 customers. It's really, really important. Those reference clients will go a long way. The next issue is really getting the right people in place in the US market is critical. And I think that that's an area where oftentimes founders, particularly Asian founders who may not have operated in the US, can struggle because, the definition of what a good candidate looks like is a little bit different. There are cultural differences. There are sometimes language differences. And it's sometimes more difficult to assess talent. So I think one of the things that you need to do is have a really good recruiting plan. Have a definition of what good looks like for each role, what the key criteria are for your first few salespeople, for your first few customer success people, for any other people you need to put on the ground. Really define what you want in those people, and then be very diligent in making sure that you assess those candidates against that criteria carefully, because those first few hires are really important. In fact, those first few hires, particularly in sales and customer success, may be different than the ones you'll make later on. When you're entering a new market, I think sometimes you need people that are a little bit more independent, a little bit more creative, can think on their feet a little bit more than simply running a playbook that's pre-established. So I think you have to think about those kinds of criteria pretty carefully. Next, you need to really think about where you want to be in the US. And a lot of founders get enamored by the thought of being in Silicon Valley. And while that's a terrific market, it also happens to be the most expensive part of the US in which to operate a company. It's a super competitive market for talent. And so you'll find it's really hard to attract talent and retain talent in that market. And the expenses are super high. So you might consider secondary cities in the US where there are good university systems where you can attract the kind of talent you need. So thinking about where you want to be is important. And also you have to factor in time zones. The time zones and the time differences with regard to support are important. So consider that. I think you really need to find a trusted recruiter. If you're going to hire a significant number of people, you have to find someone locally on the ground in the US that can help you recruit that talent. If you can, I think you need to have one of the founders or co-founders at least commit to being in the US market for 6 to 12 months to help get this started. If it's an important enough element of expansion opportunity for your business, you probably want to have one of the key leaders in the company go oversee this if you can for a period of time. And lastly, I think, you've built the plan. You have to stick to the plan, be patient. There are going to be hiccups. There are going to be bumps in the road. So be patient and look for signs of success, and, be diligent about driving that business toward the plan, the operating plan that you put in place in the first place before you decided to embark on this expansion. So those are some of the things that I think founders need to consider. Hopefully this content was helpful and constructive for you. If you enjoyed this, please like the content and subscribe to our channel. Once again, I'm Chris Reisig, operating partner with Jungle Ventures, and thank you for spending some time with me today.